See,
Yep.
D, not the. We're not A, B, or C. We're
No,
D. We're all the way
we
down
may
to
be about a
D.
D. I don't know.
Yes. We have actress Amy Simon joining us tonight. And DC, I'm refreshing here. It says we're going live. I'm waiting for it to pull up on the
Yes.
YouTube
Yes,
here.
yes, yes, yes,
So as soon as that gets up, all right, looks like we're going to be up and rolling. Let me get the chat started here. All
yes. All
right,
right.
so we're going there.
I'm no, I can't figure this out. I'm the one that starts all of it, and I get the last part of it. I don't. That
Well,
makes a lot of sense.
DC, have you looked in the mirror? That's why it takes you off the air so much. Come on now.
Right. All right. Are we ready?
Let's roll
Let's
our
do some
intro.
intro and get going.
Hello, world. This is Kevin from Fiction Factory, and you're listening to DC and DH on the DND Dynamite 80s podcast.
They have been best friends since childhood, played the same sports, attended the same schools, and now they even teach together. You're listening live from Nashville, Tennessee, DC, and DH on the D&D Dynamite 80s podcast. So guys, take it away.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, welcome into another episode of D&D Dynamite 80s. I'm DH.
I am DC.
And we're here to take another fantastic
How's it
look
going?
back at the 80s. DC, how was your week, brother?
It's going well. I'm 2 weeks out from my foot surgery and
Yes.
got a tennis shoe on and out of a boot and been in a boot forever, man. So I feel like I'm like been paroled or something.
Back on the move.
Yes.
Back on the mend. Well, we're
yeah,
glad
so
you're
far
back
so
on the
good.
mend.
I can't
Yes.
come up into the man loft. I'm like I'm like restricted from it. So I've only been up here since like last week. She let me crawl up here basically after the surgery and do a show. But
what
so
you don't
I'm
realize,
I'm kind of missing it.
what you don't realize is when you crawled up there tonight, she locked the door from the outside, so you're stuck.
Right.
She's like, no more, you're done.
Right. Right.
Hey,
Hey,
we've
we
got a
good
great
one tonight,
guest.
man.
Yes. Why don't you go ahead and let's do some introductions here and get this one rolling.
Be honored to. Yeah, we are excited to have Amy Simon. She's an actress, and she actually teaches and does all kinds of cool stuff, modeling as well. And we had her on probably right about this time last year, I think. You know, I'd have to go back and kind of look at all our different ones, but that's pretty accurate. I think it was January. And yeah, so she was very, very kind to pop back on with us tonight and let us catch up what she's got going on. Seems like, as we talked in pre-show there a little bit, that she's got some exciting stuff happening in our neck of the woods. So we'll get into that too a little bit here in the just last part of the show. But Amy, how are you?
I'm doing really good. Thank you. I'm just excited for the new year. I don't know.
Yes.
It always feels like just starting over and,
Right.
about
Right.
new possibilities and that. So,
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. Well, I need that every day.
well, yeah.
Well, I'm thinking since
Because I
Amy's
file up
working,
several things every day, so I kind of need that.
I know that feeling.
Thought process
See,
every day.
I'm thinking since Amy's doing a lot of stuff in Nashville, she may
Yep.
need an old guy to sit on a set and eat Cheetos to be in a movie. I'm here.
Just
I'm
as an
here
extra?
for you, Amy. I'm
I
here.
want to tell you this: we might could pull that off without a lot of talent. I don't know.
Knowing our luck, one of us would choke.
Right? Or foul it up. Yeah. That acting thing. We've had enough of these folks on that's definitely. And musicians, forget it. So I don't know if I have anything whatsoever in common with a lot of these talented people that we have on the show.
You know what? It is
Other
pretty
than
fast.
admiration
Yeah.
for doing it. Oh, wow. Hey, what we thought we'd do tonight, I threw it around a little bit back and forth in conversation with Amy as we got closer to the show of talking about some of our favorite 80s movies and TV shows. And yeah, it was interesting kind of doing that, going down memory lane and remembering some of these that I'd kind of forgotten about.
Right.
And I kind of did some research and it was like, oh, wow, yes, that's one that I really liked, that had kind of gone by the wayside and I'd forgot about for several decades and really liked it, so it made my list. So There you go. So what do you want to start out with? I don't have a coin or anything, so you want to go movies or the TV shows?
Let's start with movies.
All right. All right.
We'll start off there since we're mentioning.
Well, let Amy start with one of her favorites.
Yes.
Oh,
She's
my
the
goodness.
guest.
You know what? Sometimes I get the 80s and 90s a little bit crossed a little bit, but
Sure.
It's all okay.
It's all
somewhere
good.
in that decade. It's all good.
Yeah, it's all good.
80s, 90s, 70s. It's all good.
80s, 90s, 70s. Well, I
Yeah, we'll
probably
just mix
said
it
this
all together.
before, but one of my favorite movies as a kid was Adventures in Babysitting. I
Oh,
thought
absolutely.
a great movie, but I think that was early 90s. Of course, I love the Rocky movies. That's probably 90s. The Indiana Jones, all the movies I went to go see with my brothers when I was a kid. Star Wars, all of those type of movies that were classics that whenever they try to, do the remakes, they're never as good.
You just said that. Yeah,
Yes,
we just
we were
talked
just
about that before
talking
you
about
came
that.
on, that, man, they can foul them up sometimes.
Yeah,
Yeah,
it's
tell me why. Well, Rocky, some of those were really good. Some of those got better. Indiana Jones, okay. There's some of them that have sequels that are great, but I'm saying when they try to do the remake,
right.
that's never
correct.
That's what we were talking about,
Yeah,
and nothing
yeah.
against the Creed franchise that they're doing now. I mean, they're fine movies, but they're not. I mean, they're kind of following
not
that
the
same
movie.
storyline as Rocky, but they're not Rocky. It's just
exactly.
compare with Rocky. It's such a classic, great movie. But Cobra Kai came out on Netflix, of course, Karate Kid.
Yeah, and that was my first one on my list.
That. Did you guys watch it?
Yes.
Oh, absolutely.
Yes. And it's really cool. I think the thing that's really cool for me for Cobra Kai is the way they brought back the original actors still in those roles.
Even Elizabeth Shue,
yes,
who was in Adventures in Babysitting, one of my favorite actresses.
Exactly. And I think that was why one of many reasons there was such a huge success is because that guy tried to keep it very, very close to the vest of what the original stuff was. You still had the same storyline, Reseda, the rich, and they kind of flip flopped it, which I thought was cool. Is that they did the reverse roles.
Yeah, I like that it was not politically correct at all. I personally loved that part of it, and just the language they used and the way they talk. I loved it. I mean, it was a little bit cheesy, but I loved it. And I don't know if I told you guys last time I was working on a commercial years ago up in Michigan, maybe 5 or 6 years ago, maybe long. No, gosh, it had been like 7 or 8 years ago. And I worked with another actor on that commercial shoot, and his name was Guy Zabka. And I was like, and he goes, so my brother's making like this remake of Karate Kid. And I was like, okay, that's cool. Like, who's your brother? And he's like, William Zabka, he played Johnny in Karate Kid. I'm like, Johnny's your brother? What?
Right.
And he goes, yeah, he's making this new show, remake or whatever about the Karate Kid. It's like, oh, that sounds cool. It ends up being like the #1 show on Netflix.
Yes. Yeah.
During COVID and all that.
So something like that, that's interesting, because something like that, you said that was probably 5 years ago or something?
Oh, I would say that was at least maybe 8 years ago.
Wow. So something like that takes some time to get it off the ground and going, I guess.
Oh my goodness, these things can take years. Even the film that I just worked on, they were working on it for about 3 years before they started shooting it. So
I didn't realize some of that. That is neat stuff.
I just had something hit me that I'm gonna blow your minds with this. Okay, I want you to think about this, and this is 70s to 80s related. Mr. Miyagi, okay, on Happy Days played Arnold. You talking about two different characters? He went from Arnold to this cool guy, Mr. Miyagi.
Right.
But look what Henry Winkler did. He went from the Fonz to Coach Klein. What a switch!
Yeah,
I mean, what a switch for those two. But the longevity of them, that's pretty cool to see actors.
Talented guys,
very much
too,
so.
to do that, be able to do that, because you see them as one type of person all that time going through TV sitcom, and like, oh, okay, that person's like that all the time. That's what you think especially as a young person.
And I have to wonder if that happens a lot.
Like.
Does that, Amy, you've been in the business. I'm just
Yeah.
going to ask. I have to wonder, does that happen a lot when you are like, do people get typecast into certain roles and that's just kind of how their career goes?
My entire career. Yes. I'm always the mom, the girl next door, the sister or whatever. I always play the mom, and I am 100% okay with that.
Yeah.
Yeah, it happens all the time. But Henry Winkler, I remember hearing that originally they wanted blonde hair, blue-eyed actor for that role. They did not want somebody that looked like him, and he just came in and killed it and booked the part. And then there was another one for the Honeymooners. Alice, when she auditioned for her role, they said, you're too pretty. Like, we want a housewife. You're too pretty. She left, took all her makeup off, changed her outfit, put on an apron, came back, booked the part. They're like, who are you? She's like, I am a housewife. I am she just took off her makeup. So it's like
something.
People like they want to typecast you into, oh, you're too pretty to play this part. I'm like, give me a second. Let me just let me take off my makeup and change my clothes.
So they end up seeing you sometimes in a certain way, and like he said, just stereotyping.
You have to show them that you are the right for the role. I had another friend, Shar. She's in Miami, and she auditioned for a role, and they wanted like a 25-year-old blonde. She's older than me. She's probably in her 50s. She looks great.
Now, easy.
She always plays like these.
Easy on that. Yeah.
She looks great.
We're definitely in our 50s.
She always plays like these mafia type wife roles or whatever, and she's just like fabulous. I love her.
Yeah.
She booked the part.
That's
Here she
awesome.
is in her 50s, and they wanted a 25-year-old, but she went in there and killed it. It was a movie with Matthew McConaughey that they shot, so she gets to dance with Matthew McConaughey and kiss him on the dance floor. And I was like, you.
Right. DC, will you do me a favor? Mason87 Dan has chimed in on TikTok, said he can only hear your mic. So will you check the volume on TikTok if you could, please? Thank you, Mason, for letting us know that. And Christy82 has joined in.
And here's the
Amy,
thing,
can you hear both of us?
You're the tech guy.
Okay, so we're all hearing fine. I'm gonna slide just a second and pull TikTok up and see what I can find out.
I have one thing.
Okay.
We'll let DC check that. But Amy, yes, as you were saying, I kind of always wondered that, because even now, like, there's certain like we're watching the show Reacher right now, my wife and I, and there's a guy in there that plays the mayor, and he always plays that role of like the crooked politician bad guy. And it's like, I just wondered, I mean, hey, he's successful at it. So I just always wondered that.
You can definitely get typecast, or you can kind of typecast yourself. So there's a guy, an actor that I really like. He was on Suits. I always forget his name. I'm gonna have to look it up really quick. But this guy like refuses to do any sex scenes or kissing scenes with other women because he's married and faithful and honors his wife. He will not do any scenes. So he's always the bad guy and the villain and the lawyer, and he's never in these
made that choice.
And I love that you can say what you want to do and what you won't do. I've been in film years ago, and I was like, I'm not doing that, or I'm not saying that. They're not gonna,
I mean,
have their morals and values, and you could still have a say.
Right.
Good for you.
And speaking of Suits, one of my favorite characters was Louis Litt in Suits.
Oh my gosh, I love Louis.
His coffee mug, you just got lit up. I mean, that was just hilarious. Before
we move on to a different one and leave Karate Kid all alone, by itself and forever or whatever, we remember, and this was a cool thing that we heard on when we had Daryl Vidal, who was in the movie. He was actually in the fight scene with Johnny in the tournament. And they used his real name.
Yes.
They used his name. He was himself in the movie. And it's an iconic, and I guess we're going to skip to the third part right now with this one, because this is a very memorable scene in a movie. in the 80s, where Miyagi is doing the crane technique on the beach. And it actually makes all the posters where he's doing that, where he's standing on one of those little little piers, not a dock, but what am I trying to say? The little wooden pier pylon.
Yeah.
And he's doing the scene where he's, kicking.
Yeah, like on the post, whatever they're called. Yeah.
Correct. Daryl did that. That was actually Daryl. They dressed him up to look like Miyagi. But he was the one that actually did. And I'm like, that is awesome.
Now,
he goes,
DC,
a lot of people don't know that. But he goes,
DC, if you want to impress us, get back there in the back and let's see you do that move.
No, I'm not doing the crane technique. But no, it was neat to hear what he was saying about how they set up the fight scenes.
Right.
And, he got to use some of his karate stuff. And he actually is like master whatever, and teaches all that now and stuff out in California. But anyway, that was an interesting interview as well with that gentleman.
Yeah, absolutely. I know a guy here in North Carolina that shot Cobra Kai. That was one of the camera guys for Cobra Kai. And I've seen a couple of the people that I know from Miami and Atlanta that are in it. In Cobra Kai. It's always fun to like watch these shows. I'm like, oh my gosh, there's Julie, or there's
there's
more. Like there's all these people in here. I'm like, I didn't know they were, or I'm watching The Chosen, and I see a couple actors from Miami that are in that, and like it's just I love watching these shows and seeing my friends in them. But yeah, it's a lot of smoke and mirrors. It's a lot of stuff that you don't realize when you're watching the film that I see as an actress, or that I know from being on a set. There's another one. Kirk Cameron was another guy that didn't want to kiss another woman in a film. So at the end of Fireproof, when he kisses his wife in the film, he's actually kissing his real wife.
But
they're so far back, and it's like a long shot that you can't tell.
You can't tell. Yeah.
Oh yeah, so there's all kinds of stuff, little tricks that go on.
That's wild.
Hey, with all those tricks, DC, there's hope for us yet.
I doubt it.
They can make you slimmer. They can make you.
Well, I need slim.
Well,
I need a slim.
We don't need a diet.
lens.
We just need a movie made of us, and we can put them on here.
Right.
Pretty much.
Whoever was on TikTok, if they can kind of let me know. If they can hear it now.
I'm watching to see if we get any replay back on that. If you're on TikTok right now, thank you for joining DND Dynamite 80s. Please let us
if the
know
volume works.
if you can hear all three mics. We've made an adjustment, so we should be good.
Yeah,
there.
I don't want to be the only one that's talking. That's for sure.
Just another show with technical
they're
difficulty.
Slide on
DC.
by me like they do in TikTok. They'll just keep on rolling if I'm the one talking. But anyway, no. But I want to tell you this: a bunch of the well, of course, that was a teenage movie, but hello, I was a teenager in these, and it made sense after I looked at my list. I was like, what the heck? I got all these, teenage movies on this list. Well, it made sense after I thought
was
about
when
it.
you were, yeah.
That's what I was.
Mean, now I'm going to tell you one of my favorite movies from the 80s, and I'm super stoked that they're bringing back Axel Foley.
I know what it is. Yeah,
Beverly Hills Cop. I mean, I think I went, this is no lie, DC, when that thing came out, I saw it 13,
you went 12 times.
Saw it 13 times in the theater.
I was close. Yeah.
That was just, I was asking girls on a date just to go see the movie. It's like, hey, come on, let's go. Let's go.
Right.
We're just going to see a movie.
That's back when tickets were like $4.
Right. And you could get, popcorn, Coke, and everything for $20
we
for
weren't
two
back
people.
far enough for it to be like $1 or 50 cents or something.
Well, you guys must have been rich
old.
if you were buying the snacks, because my mom used to pack them in her purse.
That's right.
The candy and the snacks and the drinks in the purse. We didn't buy them at the movie theater.
But that was back in the day when, because I worked at McDonald's down at Hickory Hollow, so that was back in the day where we thought we had a lot of money because we were working at McDonald's, hey, let's go out.
No bills.
Right, no bills.
I've got all kinds of money.
A burger was 49 cents.
Right, exactly.
That's right.
You didn't have wheels on your car. We just had wood blocks back in those days.
Right.
DC was around, right? I came right after they discovered fire because DC's a little older than I am. So he was around before fire.
Now, folks that follow this show, don't go there. You just had a birthday. We're 23 stinking days apart in age.
I'm always going to be 23 days
younger.
younger.
There you go. He always gives me crap about that.
I'm 5 minutes older than my twin, so I'm
See, there you go. It counts.
older. I'm the middle child.
So you're the older. Yeah. There you go. But you know what? And I guess some of these are favorites to me as well. We had some people that were actually in some of these. I looked on my list, and Can't Buy Me Love.
Oh, one of my favorites.
We had Darcy.
Okay, I got a story about that.
Go ahead.
Yes, let's hear it.
I was living in Kentucky, northern Kentucky. That's where I'm from, and one of my friends and I were downtown at the mall in Cincinnati in Crew Tower. We see this guy walking by, and we're like, "That's the Cha-Ching guy, the Rally's commercial. Cha-Ching!" It was a burger commercial. Well, it was Seth Green.
Oh wow!
Wow!
So we saw him. And we talked to him. We ended up hanging out with him for like a month while they're shooting this film called Airborne. They shot it in Newport, Kentucky, which is 5 minutes from where I grew up. So we ended up hanging out with him for like a month. And, we're hanging out. We're at the Omni Hotel where they were staying in the lobby. And he goes, "Oh, there's my friend. He's in the movie. His name's Jack Black." And I'm like, "Jack Black?
Oh, wow.
That's an interesting name."
Right.
I'm 16 years old. Years old. So I didn't realize that Seth was in Can't Buy Me Love. He's in that when they're playing cards. He's
the
like,
kid.
Cards with the cards. Remember that line?
Yes.
Yes.
In that movie. But anyway, so that's my Seth Green story.
Oh, wow. That's cool.
Before he was like super famous, or, famous, I guess.
Yeah. And I'm terrible with forgetting names, but Darcy, who played in, what was the other movie, one of the other popular movies she was in? It was one of the Friday the 13th movies.
Oh.
She also did. Darcy, can't remember her last name. Starts with a D. Anyway, very nice lady that we had on. And anyway, she played one of the cheerleaders what, y'all got to help me with these names. Who was the main character?
Patrick Dempsey.
Right. He went out on a date with Patrick. She went out on a date with Patrick Dempsey in the movie.
Oh, okay.
She was one of the cheerleaders. I tell you the scene, the date that he had where he went to the Columbus dance and did the
African ritual.
Yeah, exactly. So anyway, we asked her about that dance.
How do I remember that? I don't know.
Yeah.
I was gonna say,
anyway,
that's cool.
She was the girl that was his date for that. She
has dark hair. She's a brunette.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
Mm-hmm. Great movie.
Yeah. So anyway, in another one, super lady that played one of in Footloose. She drove the car. Super lady. She's actually a assistant professor at a college in Utah now. But just very, very nice lady. This is when we first started out. I'd have to go back and look her name up. But anyway, she was the girl that drove the car that Ariel was standing on. You know, when she was jumping into the truck, when they were going down the road at the very start of the movie. So anyway, whatever that lady's name, who she played in the movie.
You're showing your age, DC.
Yeah. I can't remember squat.
Now, I'm surprised you haven't mentioned Diane Franklin in Better Off Dead.
I've got it.
Yep.
I've got it on.
It was a good movie.
Yeah. Boy, she's been a trooper.
Oh man.
We've had her on a couple of times, and our tech stuff's fouled her up every time. So we're on a good roll with her.
As far as like on the acting side, when you're doing, those are more of like a featured extra part, or, if they have dialogue, that's different. That's a whole nother thing. But if you're just like one of the cheerleaders, or you're a driver or whatever in the film, you're basically a featured extra.
Yeah.
And usually you book those roles through there are actual agents that just do extra work, background work for TV and commercials and film and stuff. Because I used to do a lot of those parts as well when I was first starting out, like on CSI Miami and different shows I was doing in Miami. But so that's fun. I mean, it's fun. You're still going to be on set for 15 or 20 hours a day. You're basically making a little bit more than an extra, a background talent. So you definitely don't do it for the money. You're just you're doing it just to have fun and be in a film. But you never know. Like you could be front and center one of these films and you don't know if the film's going to take off or not. You don't know, so it's pretty cool.
So DC, what I'm hearing is there's still hope for us yet.
Right. Not very much hope.
Yes. Hey, we talked earlier. I am a modeling coach and acting.
Right.
To get into modeling and acting, how do you get an agent? How do you do all these things? Because I love the industry so much that I want to help other people get in it. And surprisingly, it's a lot of people that are retired, people that are in their 50s and 60s, whatever, older, that, hey, I've always wanted to do this. I had my regular career and raised my kids. Now, how do I get into following my dream? And I'm like, let me help you. And all of them end up getting an agent and start working, and they love it.
Wow.
Why didn't I do this years ago? Because there's student films and there's independent films. There's all kinds of projects you can work on. You might not be famous, but you get to do what you love.
Sure.
I tried one time and the agent said, "Man, you have a face for radio. I can't help you." So
Right.
Hey, I got a lot of voiceover friends that make very good money.
there you go. Yes.
Right.
So,
Right.
Nothing wrong with that.
No.
Yeah, there you go. There you go. How about more on a serious note? I put you don't like it, DH. We've had this conversation several years ago on a show where we kind of did something similar to this one or this topic, and you's like, nah, that's not a movie I really liked. I don't know. It's just some kind of connection that I really, really liked it, and it was well done. Dead Poets Society.
Oh, Robin Williams.
Yeah. I don't know. Something sticks to me about that movie.
I
Just
think
being
the thing
very, very well done.
I think the thing for me with Robin Williams, for me, seeing his comedy routines and everything that he's done, that's more of where I'm at. And I think
got you.
that might be why I didn't really care. I mean, hey, it sold more tickets than any movie I ever made.
Yeah. Well, here's the thing. That makes me even appreciate him more for the talent that he had.
Oh, very talented. Yes.
To be able to do one extreme to the other like that's gotta have to be some talent involved in doing
I
that.
think my big thing is, like, if I go see a movie that's got a comedian in it and I'm expecting it to be funny and,
Sure.
and then it turns out to be something else, I'm kind of like,
But it had a serious, serious topic to it, with.
See, I don't do serious topics.
Yeah.
That's like Good Will Hunting when he was in that. Same type of
Yep.
role.
Same role.
Yeah,
Yep.
that's right.
Probably one of the best actors ever of our time, I think. Robin Williams. Just unbelievably talented. There was a guy here in Raleigh where I live now that wrote the film let's see here, Moscow.
See, I'm having that effect.
Moscow on the Hudson. Yes. That was
Robin Williams.
Yes.
Okay.
So I didn't know that. So they showed it here at a theater like a year ago. And so it's just
that's a great movie.
Anyway, the guy lives here. I go and watch this film and I'm like blown away. I'm like, and he speaks Russian. Is there anything this guy doesn't do? Like,
just unbelievable.
It's unbelievable.
Yeah. Yeah.
And this movie was 30 years ago or whatever it was in the 80s.
Yeah,
but
that's right.
I mean, you just can't help but love the guy.
That's right.
So let's do this. That brings up an interesting conversation. And DC, I'm going to ask you this as well, because this just came to mind. If you're looking, I want to look at two individuals that really, came from basically being comedians into the acting realm. Eddie Murphy even sung. So if you compared Eddie Murphy and Robin Williams, that's two major talents from the 80s. Who do you give the edge to on that?
Oh, come on.
Gosh.
I have my vote.
Oh, me too.
I have to go with Axel Foley.
No.
I'm
Robin
sorry,
Williams' range is just.
I'm sorry, that's not even close to me.
Oh, I don't know. Well, what about if you put up Robin Williams against somebody like Bill Murray?
That's closer.
Bill Murray.
That's closer. I'd have to go with Eddie Murphy.
Caddyshack.
No, I think maybe Robin Williams and maybe like a Jim Carrey, who is also incredibly talented, funny, and dramatic. Like,
right.
I think those two might be more in the same category. I just still think Robin Williams is, because Robin Williams was the original.
Right.
Or
I would
Jim
have to go.
Carrey,
I
or
would
at
have to
least
go
forget
Robin
it.
Williams in those two.
Yeah.
That would be Robin
yeah.
Williams for me.
Yeah.
I mean, Eddie Murphy's amazing, amazingly talented, but I don't think he has the depth of Robin Williams.
Me either.
Opinion.
Me either.
Well, I'm still going to say Axel Foley.
Let me put it this
You're
way.
like, whatever.
He
I like who I like.
It's all good.
Eddie Murphy could not even get close to doing Dead Poets Society role.
But why
There's no
would he
way.
want to? Have you seen that movie?
I'm just saying talent wise. I don't think he could get close to pulling that off.
I don't know. I'm trying to think, is there any like movie, like a more dramatic movie like that he's been in? I don't know that I've ever seen an attempt by him on that.
I don't think so.
And guess what?
Maybe
That may
48
be because
hours.
of his choice.
Maybe 48 Hours with Nick Nolte. I mean, that was more of a drama action type movie.
Well, Coming to America is one of my favorite
Coming
movies.
to America,
Well,
I enjoyed that one.
Yeah, absolutely.
That's one of my all-time favorite. Is that from the 80s? I can't remember.
Yes.
It is. Yeah.
And the remake they did, was it 2 years ago when they had the remake out?
I didn't watch it.
Y'all are up on the remake stuff. I don't go
watch
for
it.
that. I don't go for that stuff.
It was actually not. I mean, it wasn't terrible as far as a remake. I mean, not a remake, but it was like part 2 or whatever you want to call it, like a sequel. It was not terrible. It wasn't. It wasn't as good as the first, but it was not terrible.
Gotcha. Well, by the way, you Bill Murray guy there, I have Meatballs on here.
Yes,
that's on the list.
Caddyshack.
And then one of the actors, since we're talking comedians, couldn't act worth a flip, but as funny as all get out, and it's one of my favorite movies, is the Back to School that we've talked about
Rodney
several
Dangerfield's
times.
hilarious.
Yes.
Hey, he's hilarious. He was the bomb.
That was one of the best movies ever. Okay,
yes.
Thanks for reminding me.
Yeah.
I mean, when a movie opens up with
"Call me when you have no class."
That's
one of the greatest lines of all time. If you want to
be skinny, surround yourself with bigger people. It's like, okay.
Yeah. And when he pulls off the deal where, I love that dress. If it had pockets, you look like a pool table. So there you go.
He was great at making fun of himself, which is always funny for some reason. I don't know.
And the thing was, he was one of those comedians that he made fun of himself all the time, but it was so hilarious to watch him. It was just, you really didn't know what he was going to say. There was no telling what was coming up next.
Yeah.
Right. How about E.T.?
I think he phoned home, didn't he?
He finally got home, I guess.
Definitely up there.
That's where everybody cried and all that at the end because Elliot couldn't go with him, and it was kind of sad. I mean, as a kid, I remember getting upset about it.
Gremlins is about the scariest type of movie I want to watch. I do not like horror films or scary.
Well, here's the thing.
Gremlins scared the crap out of me.
Yes.
Who comes up with that in their nightmares when they're sleeping?
Here's the bad thing.
What those things look like.
Those
you
little
gotta be a little
Furby
bit
things.
off the rocker to come up and create those kind of things.
But think about it. Those little Furby things freak me out because I think they look like the Gremlins.
Yeah.
It's like if you spill water on one of them, you're going to have like Furbies everywhere.
And you'll always remember that. That's how they changed over.
That's weird.
Stay out of the light.
Yes.
Exactly.
Don't get in the light.
Don't get in the light. So there you go. Speaking of scary, of course, and here's the thing. To be honest with you, it's a terrible movie, I think. But it's iconic. Nightmare on Elm Street.
I knew you were going to say that. I knew it. I'm like, if he was Freddy Krueger.
It had big time actors. But it was just, I mean, I like it. I like it, but I don't know why I like it.
I had nightmares
because it's not I don't think it's a very well done movie.
I had nightmares for years, like taking a shower. I'm like constantly pulling the shower curtain. I'm like looking in my room, looking under my bed. I hated that movie. That took me years to get over Freddy Krueger.
Now that's when you know it's a good movie, when you traumatize an individual for 20 years.
You've done your job, I guess. Yeah.
Oh Lord.
But
Uh,
it was cool that they had, how they have these documentaries and stuff about how they create some of this stuff. If you can flip through, that was one of them late night things flipping through, and I found this. But anyway, the scene where the girl is on the ceiling, Weiss, Amanda Weiss, I think was her name, that played that actress, the blonde headed girl that died in the movie. Anyway, she gets thrown around in the bedroom at the start of the movie. Anyway, it was like a spinning box that she's in. Like they spun the room, and that's why she was like always on top of the ceiling. But they talked about all the movie stuff that went into that particular making of that deal. Was that it was quite creative, a lot of stuff that they did with it. So that's
they
that's
didn't have the
stuff.
technology back then that they have now.
No.
Shoot everything in
all
a
the blood,
studio
all the
green
blood,
screen.
all the blood that what's his name, Johnny Depp, all that blood when he dies at the end, and all that blood fills his room and all that. They talked about the same thing. It was some kind of tank, square tank type to set up like a room that they just filled up with a bunch of red water and stuff, like it's crazy.
Yeah,
how some of that works.
They just use
But
CGI.
they pulled it off.
Yes.
It was kind of a freaky kind of situation for sure.
The funny thing to me is like I've worked on all these TV shows and films, and I watch them be made. I know everything is fake. I know it's not real, and it still scares the crap out of me.
That was a question I had for you. Because I've asked that to some other actors and actresses that we've had. Is that even when you was in a scary scene or movie or whatever, did you still get scared because you knew what was coming? And they said, heck yeah.
Yeah.
Because you're in the moment,
Well, they want you to be scared, and you're playing that character. I mean, at least on the film that I did years ago, I'm out in the middle of the Everglades at night, and I have a couple guys.
Very good movie, by the way.
Thanks. But I have a couple guys trying to kill me. Like,
sure.
You put yourself in that scene, you're like, it helps you get in character. I'm like, I ain't dying tonight. You all are dying.
Right.
Exactly.
So, yeah.
Exactly.
You do.
The audience. Yeah, the audience is like, well, try to run faster.
See,
whatever you're thinking in your mind.
That's when
like,
that's where I'm very that's where I'm very selective. If I start reading a script that they want me to do and there's no second page, no, I'm good.
Just a one page, right?
I don't know what happened here, but we didn't fill in this blank.
Well, the thing is too, though, is like doing these different scenes, at least the few films that I've worked on, there's only so far you can run. You're going to be out of focus. And literally like the last film that I worked on, I had to tell the camera guy, I'm like, hey, so right here, I'm going to fall down on the ground. So I would let him, you need to follow me down and like be able to rack your focus. So I'm not out of focus because I don't want to have to do this scene more than a couple of times. So you got to run how fast they tell you to. You got to hit your mark. You got to do all these things. It's very technical. So it's almost kind of hard to look real and natural when you're like, I can only run 3 feet. Got to hit my mark. I can't move too fast because then the camera's going to be out of focus. I'm sure you've watched a film where something's out of focus.
Oh, yeah.
Like, what happened there? And it's like,
yeah.
And then it was probably such a good take. They didn't want to have to reshoot it. So they just left it in there.
Left it in. Yeah. There's people that actually, have like websites and stuff like, can you find all the mistakes? Here's one.
Well, I guarantee you, if I was on a movie set and Freddie was following me, they're not going to tell me where to stop. I'm going out the door, across the parking lot.
You're going to break through the furnace room.
I'm gone.
Right?
Say what
through
you want.
The furnace room,
I'm
the
out.
boiler room. I guess it's a boiler room. Yeah.
Right. At my age, we don't trust anything. I'm getting it.
Right. How about in as school teachers? This one is like totally off the wall. Well, I wouldn't say it wouldn't happen. We're in different times these days, but anyway, Fast Times at Ridgemont High. And I think the reason that sticks out to me so much is like, okay, I kind of knew a girl like her, and I knew I kind of knew a guy that was that character, and you could relate to some of it, I think the school scenes
See,
were
I'm
like,
gonna
don't think that's really
kinda
going to
be honest.
actually ever happen. But
I-
overall, going to the mall, hanging out with your friends at the mall, they had the right concept about some of the storylines throughout the movie.
I just have to be honest about that movie, and I know it's an iconic movie, and a lot of people love it. Just not my
You
thing.
didn't like it.
I it just wasn't. I
Interesting.
don't know.
Now,
One of my favorites.
that was Sean Penn, right?
Uh-huh.
Yes,
Was that the
Played
one?
the
with McConaughey?
surfer dude.
Was that the one with Matthew McConaughey? I'm thinking of a different high
no,
school.
I don't. Yeah, I don't think
Yeah, that
Matthew
wasn't
McConaughey was
Matthew.
in it. This was Jeff Surfs
who was
Up
Goose?
Spaghetti.
Who was Goose? Who was
Um,
Goose in Top Gun?
That's
Anthony
what
Edwards.
Yes, Anthony Edwards.
Anthony Edwards was in it. Who's
Oh,
the
Judd,
Maybe
Judd
Kate.
Hurst.
redheaded guy that was played in the movie with Cher? You know, the gentleman that had a deformity. Mask.
Mask.
What was it? Eric Stoltz? I think's his name.
Eric
Judd-
Stoltz is who was played Mask in Mask.
No,
I
yes.
I did
Yes.
not know that.
Yes.
Didn't Judd
Eric
Hurst?
Stoltz was in that movie.
Didn't Judd
uh,
Hurst play in that movie?
Who?
Judd Hurst.
Judd Nelson.
Nelson. There you go. Judd. I knew it was Judd
He's
something.
in that one.
He's in
Yep.
Breakfast Club. So
No,
the
not
Eric
Judd
guy-
Nelson. Who am I thinking of? John starts with an R. It's not Ring.
He plays the stepdad in the Santa Claus with Tim Allen.
The same guy you're talking about is in Beverly Hills Cop.
Yes, he is.
Oh yeah.
Judge Reinhardt.
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 Reinhold.
Yeah, I
Reinhardt,
like
yeah.
Ron Holt. Yeah, whatever.
Yes.
Judge, isn't it? Isn't it Judge?
Yes.
All
I think
right.
it's Judd. Yes.
Yeah.
So what was the movie that Eric did that the one chick plays she's like his limo driver when he goes out on
Yeah,
a date?
that's an awesome movie.
What
I
was
should have
that
put it
movie?
down. You would ask.
You know what I'm talking about though.
Oh, absolutely. That has back to school. Not back to school. I'm sorry. Back to the Future.
Michael J. Fox.
No, I'm talking about the lady that was his mom. She was in
Yes.
everything. All the Right Moves. She was in.
I don't know her name.
Can't think of her name.
Yeah.
Kind of reddish.
Yeah, I know who you're talking about.
Yeah.
but-
Well-known actress.
Yeah.
Very well-known actress.
Yeah.
She was in what's the movie? And I should have wrote it down. What's the movie where they were called the Wolverines? Red Dawn.
Red
She was in
Dawn.
Red
Yes,
Dawn.
Red Dawn.
What is
Patrick
her name?
Swayze was in that, right?
Yes.
Another, I think he's a very
Leah.
underrated actor.
What's her name? Leah.
Leah Thompson.
That's it. Leah Thompson.
Great
Leah
actor.
Thompson.
I think Patrick Swayze is one of the most underrated talents for acting and his dancing, and he sang. I mean, the guy did
Very
it all.
talented, wasn't he?
I
Yeah,
agree. I
very
mean,
talented.
look at the variety of his movies that he was in. I
Mhm.
mean, all the way from Roadhouse to Dirty Dancing.
Dirty
I mean,
Dancing.
So yeah, it
Yep.
was very
Hey,
talented individual.
Phenomenal in Outsiders. Just amazing job in Outsider. You talking
Yeah.
about?
That's the
how
one
about
with
that
the-
cast?
That's the one with the character Pony Boy. Is that
Yeah.
right?
How
Yeah.
about that cast? How about that cast?
Tom Cruise.
Oh my gosh!
Wasn't Tom Cruise in that?
Yes, yeah.
I think. Yeah.
Ralph Macchio.
Yes.
Diane Keating, not Diane Keating. Diane,
Lang.
who was in The Perfect Storm. Diane Lane. Diane Lane was in it. She was Cherry. She was the
Okay.
one of the what do you call it? The preps. I guess it's the preps versus the whatever. I don't know if that was the actual group, but preppy kind of jock
Yeah.
guys. She was one of the girlfriends in that on that side of the deal. Cherry, what was her name? Cherry Valance or something like that.
I don't know.
Anyway, yeah, Diane
not-
Lane was in it. Who else you got? He does. He was in St. Elmo's Fire. Rob Lowe.
Rob
Rob Lowe
Lowe,
was in it.
Ohio. Mm-hmm.
Oh gosh,
Isn't he
all
doing
those-
Atkins commercials
Amelia
now?
Estevez Emilio Estevez was in it.
Yeah. Emilio.
He was one of the guys. Emilio.
Every time I hear his name, I just want to go, Emilio.
Yeah. That's exactly right.
Night at the Roxbury.
Yeah, exactly.
Yes.
Emilio. Yeah.
But Patrick Swayze, I saw him in Tu Wong Fu, where he plays a woman or whatever, and I'm like, this guy is incredible.
Yeah.
Like, such a good actor.
Absolutely, amazing talent. Speaking of Leah Thompson, I had to put the football movie in there. And a lot of people don't know the movie, and I was kind of surprised. All the Right Moves. That's a great movie, by the way. Fantastic movie. Tom Cruise. Oh, it's awesome. Now it's got who was the coach in the TV series? What was his name? Played in Poltergeist.
Coach, yeah. I forgot his name. Nielsen.
Yes.
Nelson.
Last name isn't, or maybe that's his first name.
Craig T. Nelson.
Yes.
What is it?
Craig T. Nelson or Nilsson.
Craig T. Nelson. He was the coach.
I saw him when I was out in California one time. I was in Malibu eating at this cute breakfast place that my mom's friend took me to, and he was there. And I was like, oh, I want to go over to him so bad, but I didn't do it. Yeah. I was like, nope, don't be an idiot. Don't be an idiot. Like, but he was, I mean, I love that show, Coach. So I just
with Dauber.
Yeah, right. I'm gonna say hi so bad. Well, I didn't know Dauber was the voice of SpongeBob.
I didn't know that either.
Patrick,
wow.
SpongeBob.
Okay. Well, you know, the assistant coach, what was it, Jerry Van Dyke? Wasn't that who was his assistant coach on Coach?
Jerry?
Yes. Yeah,
Jerry Van Dyke. Yeah.
Hilarious.
Dick Van Dyke's brother.
Yes. I mean, and you talking about a long career. I remember seeing him on Andy Griffith from
that's right.
Way back. Yes.
Right. He played the bubbling. Yeah, he filled in for the deputy.
Yeah, when Barney left.
On a couple of those. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, that would be a good trivia question, wouldn't it?
Yes.
Who was the fill-in deputy on
much better than the D&D trivia we had last week.
Right. Better than that one, yeah, for sure. I had to put yours on here, DH. Revenge of the Nerds.
Oh, what a movie. That's a good movie. That's a classic. That is a classic movie.
Speaking of Tom Cruise, of course, I had a few of his on here. Top Gun.
Yes.
And Risky Business of all of them. You know, here's the thing, man. Even back then, I think they kind of went out on a line for that storyline.
Didn't he do Days of Thunder? Was that in the 80s?
It was.
Was that the 80s?
It was 89, 88, something like that. Yeah.
It seemed like he had done
maybe it was right at 90. Maybe it was 1990.
Seems like it was in the 90s.
Yeah.
It may have been.
It may have been.
I think it was.
Rain Man.
Yes.
Oh my gosh. Yeah.
Which was an amazing movie, and they shot that, and then the scene where he drops the toothpicks, that's at a restaurant called Pompilio's, which is in Newport, Kentucky. For some reason, they like to shoot films there, but they shot that scene there in Newport at a restaurant that's still there.
Yeah. Do you know if he has somewhere? I think I've read or heard this.
He's from Kentucky.
No, okay, that's where I was going. That was where I was going with that question.
It's Tom Cruise, and then the guy.
That's correct. Okay.
The Firm with what's his name? The guy in The Firm, the older guy.
Paul Newman.
No, The Firm, the movie, The Firm.
The Firm.
I think it was The Firm. Remember The Firm with Tom Cruise?
I do remember. I vaguely remember that movie.
He was in The Hunt for Red October. What's his?
Sean.
All right, let me grab my phone.
Yeah.
Have it over here. I'll look it up.
Wasn't he in that? Sean Connery?
No.
He wasn't in Hunt for Red October? Sean
No,
Connery
was. So.
Was he? I don't remember.
Or maybe I'm thinking of another movie.
He did a movie.
You're right. That was okay. I'm thinking of a different movie then.
He did a movie with Paul Newman. What was it? It was the remake from like the '60s movie where they were pool hustlers. The Hustler. No, was it? No, it wasn't The Hustler.
I don't.
What was that movie?
I don't remember that.
Paul Newman and him were like a pool shark. He was teaching him how to con people out of money playing pool.
Hmm.
What was that
It
movie?
was, it's Gene Hackman.
Color of Money.
Gene
or-
Hackman, yes.
Oh my gosh, he's
yes.
93 years old, you guys.
Wow.
Okay, Gene Hackman. Oh, that's a
Gene
great
Wow.
movie too.
Hackman.
Hoosiers.
Hoosiers with Gene Hackman. Yeah, that's a great movie.
Fantastic movie.
Yeah.
Another sports movie.
Oh man, he did
Gene
some.
Hackman was in a lot of movies.
Oh my gosh. What
The
a talent
Poseidon
that guy is.
Adventure. That's what I
What
was
is it?
talking about. The Poseidon Adventure, I think. Was that
Okay.
it? When they're on a boat and the boat gets like flipped upside down in the ocean.
I think
Yes.
that is right. Yes.
That sounds right.
Anyway, he's from Kentucky too. And then you got Sarah Jessica Parker, who's from like Cincinnati. And then you got
Wow.
Oh, I didn't know
Amy
that.
Simon, who's from
Okay.
Fort Thomas, Kentucky.
You know,
There's a
Wow.
lot of talent that came from our area.
Cool.
Yes.
Yeah, that's awesome. How about some TV stuff? I had to start with this one, and you kind of busted my bubble there at the start there, DH, when you brought it up. But it was a good one because it's iconic, that scene that made that series. But Dallas, that was always on. My parents had to watch Dallas. It come on Friday nights, I think, after the Dukes of Hazzard. Or
Dukes of
kinda in
Hazzard
that
I
same-
loved.
Yep.
Yeah. So that I have it on there too, because we had the lineup of like, and my parents, by the way, and DH knows this, my parents who live like a mile from me now, they still have the regular main channels only, no cable. Never have had cable. I'm not paying for TV. I ain't doing it, you know. So anyway,
Good for them.
so back
Fight the system.
yeah.
Yes.
So back when we had the big box TV, you know, that had the stereo in it and everything else. That was the ritual. You had certain nights. Okay, that TV is going to be on CBS, and we're watching Dallas on Friday nights.
Now,
Period.
DC, I'm going to see how big of a
Okay.
Dallas fan you were. This just
Okay.
came to me.
Go
What
ahead.
was the spinoff from Dallas that was
Knots
back in the
Landing?
80s? Oh, there you go. There you go.
Nailed it.
Knots Landing.
Not even a question.
Do you remember who was the character that
Do-
spun off there?
I no clue.
Gary Ewing.
Ah, yes. Do you remember the spinoff from Dukes of Hazzard? Very
Ooh,
short
You got me
lived.
on it.
Enos. Remember Enos the deputy?
Yeah,
He
I didn't
had
know
a
he had his
show.
own show.
Yes, they started
I
a
don't remember
show where he moved out. I want to say it was out to California. A very short lived show.
I bet. Enos
But-
don't belong
but
in
Enos-
California.
Yeah, but it was Enos. So
There you go.
hey,
So I worked on a film in Orlando maybe 20 years ago, and Roscoe, the guy from Dukes of Hazzard,
Mhm. James Best.
he was in this independent film that my friend had written and produced in Orlando. And so he's like, "Do you want to help out with my film?" I'm like, "Yeah, sure. What do you want me to do?" He's like, "Just be a driver, like a talent driver. You have to pick up the talent." I'm like, "Okay." Well, I have to go pick up James Best
Okay.
and take him to set every day. And I was like,
Okay.
"Oh my gosh." I'm like, "Can I get an autograph from my grandma?" You know,
Right.
he was really sweet.
Yeah.
they
Yeah.
they said that he could really play a guitar too, is what they said.
Now, why? Here's the thing, though. Like
He-
when he was on the Andy Griffith show,
Yes.
why did they change? Because if you notice, like the one guy playing the guitar every time
Yes.
didn't have like hair on his.
Yeah,
arms.
I don't know. That's
changed-
and that's
They
why
did-
when
they
I
changed
read that,
players.
I thought it
Yeah.
was strange that they would do that. But
But so
you
he
know,
actually could play.
that's what I mean.
Okay,
I didn't know him, but
that.
I mean that's
I
what
figured they
the
swapped
article
him out
said.
because he couldn't play.
the article. According to the article, he could play.
Okay.
So that's
Did
pretty
not know
interesting.
that. There you go. I put your other one on there as well. Facts of Life.
Yes.
Oh, that's a great one.
So as for guys, you wouldn't think that, but I liked that show a lot growing up. I just did. Even though
Blair
it
was
had-
on there. What more do you have to say?
Yeah, you liked
Blair was on
Blair.
there.
Let's face it, we all like
Maybe
Blair.
that was the whole key to it.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I
I think
mean-
you're onto something.
You know, drop the mic. Blair was
Yeah.
there. It's all
Blair,
good.
Natalie.
I think you hit it right then. That may be
Judy or
very
whatever her
much
name
something.
was.
Yes, Tootie was on there.
Tootie.
Yep.
Right.
Joe.
Joe.
Yep.
Yeah. Yeah, both of those siblings were in TV
That's-
stuff.
That's like I guarantee you liked one
McKeon?
day. I guarantee you,
Nancy
Nancy
McKeon.
McKeon, yes.
What was
But
the brother's name that was on Alice?
Philip McKeon?
That's it. I
Is
think
that
it
it?
was Philip.
I guarantee you one show you liked, One Day at a Time, because Valerie Bertinelli was on there.
I love that show.
I didn't put it on there. That's one of them that I left off. But you're right. It should be on there.
Yeah.
One that I think is underrated big time. Hill Street Blues. I think that's a very well done series.
Too serious.
Yeah, I agree. I wouldn't.
Nah.
Yeah, I get you.
I'm more of a Three's Company kind of gal.
Yes.
It's on here.
I'm more of the
It's on my list.
mindless, let's have some fun and laugh and not really think about everything that's going on in the world.
Yeah.
Well, except Suzanne Summers just died.
Oh, I
Right.
didn't know that.
Yeah,
Oh,
She died like maybe a month or two ago, or it was recently.
Right at the end of the year. Yeah, yeah.
I really like
late
her.
October, I think, November, around November-ish.
wow, I did not know that.
Yeah,
she
sure
killed
did.
it on Home Shopping Network. I mean,
Yeah.
Yes.
she made
What was
fortune.
her product?
The leg thing. The
Yeah,
leg.
that's I'm
Thigh
picturing
Master.
like Thigh Master. That's it. Yes.
Isn't that hers?
But, you know-
Thigh Master?
I think
Yes.
so.
We got one of those when I was in like the 9th grade.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
she also not only was Three's Company a big hit for her, but then she did the one with, is it Patrick Duffy that was on Dallas, where they did the one where they got married. You know, they both had some kids
Yeah,
or something.
I forgot about
I don't
that.
remember the name of it.
What was the name of that TV series?
I can't remember,
was
but it was
actually a
actually
really good
yeah,
one.
it was good.
I obviously can't remember the name of it. Yeah,
He has
I'd
great
forgotten
scoop.
that one. I'd forgotten that one. How about Cheers? That ain't
Cheers.
a big one of yours either.
No,
I like
it was
Oh,
okay.
I do too.
I
It
love
was
Cheers.
okay.
Oh, absolutely.
And I loved Frasier and then the Frasier
Now-
spinoff. I mean,
Yeah.
I
Frasier
like.
is great.
Yes, I like Frasier. Cheers was okay. I mean, it wasn't bad. If
Yeah.
nothing else was on, I'd watch it.
Night Court.
Night Court was hilarious.
Yes.
I love Night Court.
Yes.
That
What
one-
about the remake they're doing now? I haven't watched it.
I
Does
haven't.
anybody
No.
watch?
I don't know.
No.
I don't know.
Remakes are never good.
No.
Well, I'm glad I
messes
haven't
it up
watched it
for
then.
It messes it up. Family Ties.
That was a good one.
Yeah. Great
Um,
show.
Trying to think whatever. Miami Vice. I had to put Miami in there. That's a good one.
Yeah, but I
about-
didn't really watch it that much.
Yeah.
I think because it was on Friday nights, maybe.
Was it Crockett? Is that one of them? Crockett?
Pickett
Pickett.
and Crockett, or Pitts and Crockett. I don't. Yeah, something like that. I don't know. Sounds like a
Uh,
butter company.
Yeah.
Crockett.
Yeah, there
I
you
didn't
go.
watch it that much.
Yeah.
I didn't either.
But
I mean,
hey, they had a big deal when it came to like the fashion stuff that changed.
oh
remember?
yeah. Oh yeah.
They were part of the scene on that deal of people. Everybody wanted to look like them.
Yeah.
The pink
So-
shirts and
One of my favorite casting directors in Miami, Lori Wyman, she did the casting for that in 21 Jump Street. And
I left
then
it
they
off,
did-
but I was.
and then they
toying
did
with
a
21
remake
Jump.
of Miami Vice. They did a film, it was Colin Farrell, and
Mhm.
Yes.
they shot
Yeah.
that in Miami.
Right.
So I'm driving around in Miami one day. I was working on an offshore powerboat racing show where I was like one of the co-hosts on the show, and I see it was the same time they were shooting that film. This was like 20 years ago, almost 20 years ago, or whatever, 18 years ago. I don't know. But I see him, Colin, walking across this parking lot, and I'm driving our van because I'm waiting for the other crew and people. And I'm like, oh my gosh, there's Colin Farrell. And so I wave at him. I'm like, hey. Well, he comes walking over to the van because he probably thought it was like a transportation van for the
Oh,
film
yeah,
that
yeah.
he was working
You were
on.
picking him up. Yeah, he thought you was picking him up.
So he
Take him
walks
back.
over to the van and he comes over and he's like, hey, and I'm like, oh my God, hi. I don't know what to say to you. He was a very good looking young man. And I was like, well, I was trying to be all cool. I'm like, yeah, I'm just like, I'm a co-host on this show, He was like, well, here he is like shooting this huge film. And anyways.
Oh man, that's funny. That is funny. DH, you wouldn't remember this one. but I thought it was kind of corny at times, but
It was only on for 23 days before I was around, correct?
probably,
Okay.
probably. Yeah, you weren't around by then, but
You weren't born yet.
yeah, you
Right.
weren't born yet. The Fall Guy.
Oh, no, I remember the
Yes.
Fall Guy. Yeah.
Man, that was a
Great
great show.
Cool
Great
show.
If
Oh
if
my
I'm not
gosh,
mistaken, didn't it used to be, it was like ABC, it was like the greatest
Yes.
American hero.
Yes, yes.
Yes.
And
They
then
had
the
their
Fall
lineup.
Guy.
Yeah.
The Fall Guy and then Hunter, I want to say.
All came
was
on the
the
same
third
night.
show, yes.
Yeah, that's exactly
Good
right.
show.
Yep.
Yeah, that was
Oh, yeah,
MacGyver.
the Fall. MacGyver, yep.
That
MacGyver
80s,
was a great
90s.
show.
that's MacGyver. Yeah, that's
Yep.
80s, late 80s.
Show.
Yeah,
I always
I mean-
thought that guy was so cute. I don't know that main actor's name, but I was like, oh, he's so cute.
You remember
Richard something. Richard.
what was the
something's his
one
name.
with the helicopter? Jan Michael.
Oh
can't think of his
yeah,
last name.
Scott Hawk.
Something
what's the name
Wolf.
of-
Right?
Nighthawk. What was it?
Was it Night Wolf or something like that?
Night Wolf. That's it.
Was that it?
I was
I
close.
remember that one. That one wasn't bad.
Nighthawk, Night Wolf.
Something
same-
like
same
that.
animals.
Yeah, something like
What about
that.
the A-Team?
Oh,
Yep.
that was my favorite show. I liked the 18.
Yes.
Dun, dun, dun.
Yeah,
Dun,
absolutely.
dun.
It's kind of like
I've
this. That's kind of like this show. I love when a plan comes together.
Right. Right. I liked Magnum PI.
Yes.
Got it on
Yep.
there. Tom Selleck.
Yep.
Drove the
What
Who
was the
doesn't
one?
Alec, I mean, come on.
Yeah.
What was the one with the car kit? I think was the car's name, and
Knight
it had
Rider.
a little light.
Knight Rider.
Knight
Knight
Rider.
Rider. Yep.
Left it off, but had it in my thought process.
Yep. Chips. What
Um,
Chips back? Was that 70s or 80s?
Late 70s, but they went into the 80s. I should have
Okay,
put it
the
on
Chips,
there 'cause
yeah.
that was one of my favorites.
Good.
I actually had like the Chips lunchbox.
I had chips
The
in my
metal one.
lunchbox. Does that count?
The what?
I had chips in my lunchbox. Did
Well,
that count?
yeah. You doubled up on the chips.
I did quite a bit, evidently.
I was obviously a big strawberry shortcake fan.
No,
I've
I
seen
was
the
about to
show,
mention
yes.
that. I was going to mention that towards the end, but yeah, that's awesome.
Well, my mom got me this for Christmas. She was like, I had to get that for you because I was obsessed with strawberry shortcake when I was a little kid. I still
Yeah.
have all of them. I have my little
Wow.
strawberry case that I put them in.
Yep.
I have little dolls. Like, I have a
That's
little.
all about 80s right there.
Oh
Strawberry.
my God,
shortcake.
I've had that stuff for almost 40 years or
Yeah.
45 years. I don't know how long I've had.
That is yeah.
All right, I'm gonna throw out a challenge. The show that most iconic show that best represents the 80s as a whole. What would it be? One show.
Oh, I don't know if I could do that.
Think about the dress, the whole thing with the 80s, the music, the hair. One show, what would it be?
I don't know. What's yours?
I was hoping somebody had an answer. I don't know. I just
Oh.
asked a
I'm
question.
like waiting for your. What is it?
I thought they represented a lot of those different things.
Well, I'm going to go with
in Family
American
Ties.
Bandstand.
I was going to say that Family Ties.
Yeah,
I think
that's
they
a big one.
represented. That would be my guess at it. One of the
Yeah, I think
closest.
that's a good one. I think Family Ties would be a good one.
Because think about it, every character in the family kind of represented different kinds of things. They were all a little different, you know.
Yeah, and it
each
kinda
kid was
worked.
different. And of course, you had Michael J. Fox. He was always, had the knit ties on, and they. And then what was the older daughter? Not the blonde headed, but the other one. Can't remember, Mallory. I think her
Mallory
name's
was
Mallory on
the
the show.
character's name. Yes, Mallory.
Okay, so Mallory was like very into fashion, doing all that
Right.
different kinds of, kind of the fad that she was in. So
Yeah. And then
I think they represented it pretty well.
Jennifer was the other blonde sister, and she always wore like the side ponytail.
Yes.
Exactly.
Yes.
Exactly.
Uh-huh. Yep.
Exactly. And of course, all those cute little sweaters or whatever. And so, yeah, to me,
See,
they would represent.
See, that's the
Probably the
show I had
best.
in mind. I just didn't want to lead anybody to it. That's what it was.
Now, here was one that they kind of went out on a different, and I had to admire. You have to admire the writers and the creators of this show, because there was I would say there was some, button of heads when they went and kind of threw the idea to all the executives and stuff. But they made it work, and it was a very popular and a great show, I think. Different Strokes.
Mm-hmm.
Because what you talking about, Willis? That's one of the most iconic
Iconic line, yeah.
That and a person doesn't have to know that series to have heard that line. What you talking about, Willis? And they've used it in movies. They changed the name of the person, but they do the same, kind of gist of that.
Great show. I guess that was kind of a spinoff off the Jeffersons or something.
Yes, yeah, I think so.
Another great show.
Yep.
And, Archie Bunker and what was that?
Oh my gosh, yeah.
What was that show with Archie Bunker and
All in the Family?
Yeah, All in the Family.
I guess that's more 70s.
Yeah, and then I think the Jeffersons more late 70s into the 80s was the spinoff.
Just
and
great shows. I don't even think they make shows like that anymore.
They do not.
No.
They don't want to step on toes.
That's why I said I like Cobra Kai, because even though it's kind of cheesy, they're not politically correct. They just talk normal. Like,
that's right. That's exactly right.
That's who we are. We're not. Everybody needs to relax and not get offended about everything.
Yeah, and I respect that. Don't sugarcoat it. Do it as is.
Yeah.
I think that's why what we're talking about with these particular movies and TV shows and stuff is that I think that was kind of the hook to us, was like, okay, I can relate to a bunch of these people.
That's the thing.
I'll just be honest with you. Nowadays, with a lot of the movies that are out, I just don't have interest.
Right.
I don't have rapport with it. It just don't click with me. I don't know. But I think, and we've talked about this before, DH.
Well,
I think the music's the same way.
I think a lot of it is
music,
because
it had passion. It told a story, and people can relate to it. And they talked about their, breaking up with their girlfriend or what. You could relate to the music.
Yeah,
but I think
I
was in Whole Foods today with getting some. I never shop at Whole Foods, but I had to get a specific thing, so I went to Whole Foods, and the song "Brandy" came on. And I'm looking for something, and the guy next to me is singing it. And so I start singing it with him. So we both start singing it. And then he's like, "You're too young to know that song." I said, "Well, one of my friends is Brandy, and we love that song." And then I have a song, Amy. And then my other friend, Sarah, she has her Sarah. So we started talking about all the, Boston and our whatever those bands are. Who sings Looking Glass and whatever.
Yeah.
But anyway, but then we were saying, like, the music back then was so much better. It seems like those songs are just classic.
That's right.
Never, and like my daughter's 22 and she listens to that.
Yeah.
I'm like, you listen to 70s music,
70s got more personality. It's more personable.
The kids love it.
I don't know.
The kids love it.
Yeah, that's right.
Well, I think a lot of it also, DC, for us is, that was our high school era. That was,
it was a great time.
And I think you kind of attached to that era, because I don't know, like my older sister. Notice I put two olders.
You were the baby, right?
She's like big time 70s, everything early 70s, and that's kind of her.
You have older siblings.
I think it's a lot of when you have those formative years, it's kind of what you kind of tend to go back to and enjoy.
That's right.
Oh yeah. Or it's like whatever your parents listened to. Because my mom was a big soft rock,
Yes.
She loved 50s, 60s music, but she also loved like soft rock. So that's what I listened to all the time.
Right.
Yep.
And that's what my daughter listens to.
Absolutely.
But these kids nowadays, there is a ton of variety out there. That's what I do think is pretty cool, that there's so many styles of music out there now. But you're always going to come back to the classics, and
they don't go away.
Well, your music's made it when it starts being the hair metal of your day starts being in insurance commercials. That's when you know you've made it.
Right. Right.
I
thought you
still
was
love
going to
that.
say hair metal stays with you even though you don't have any hair.
Yeah, well, I could say that too. So
Right.
it's all
I
good.
thought you were going that route. I'm not taking
No,
mine
I,
off.
I
I'll
was just
blind
thinking of
y'all.
that. We have rats in the attic, and then there's rat up there playing round and round.
Right. Right. Speaking of rat, coming to Nashville, like you said, they would open for anybody.
Oh, yes.
Rat in concert opening for George Jones or whoever. It didn't matter who it was.
Lawrence Welk in concert, special
Right.
guest, Rat.
Rat's opening for them. They were
But look,
always
But
opening
they
for
were,
anybody.
but they became successful. I mean,
They
that
did.
they built their brand.
That's
So.
true. They built the brand. They did. Hey, Amy, let us catch up on. I want to give you some time here to do that before we close out. What you been doing for the last year or so, project wise? what's going on for you?
Same old, just a lot of print modeling and a spokesperson stuff, voiceover stuff. But I shot a film last summer in Georgia, and it will be out January 21st as our film premiere back in Georgia. It's in Jonesboro, like right outside of Atlanta.
Yep.
So I worked on that last summer, and for about 5 weeks. It's a feature-length film. It's called My Name is Melissa. So you can go to mynameismelissa.com, and if people want, it's a faith-based film. So we are showing it at we are going to be showing it at churches all over the country first.
Okay.
It's going to be released first into different churches.
Okay.
I'm really excited about it. Here I am, like, working on the film, and one of the guys, and this is a lower budget, Christian film, but one of the guys shooting the film is like, so you're in like most of the scenes, like you're basically the lead in this film. I was like, oh, really? I didn't even really think about that, because I don't think about stuff like that. I just feel like everybody that's in a film has a major part, because I couldn't do my scene without this person or this person or this person, even if they have one line. Like, it's vital to the film. So I feel like we're all leads in the film. But so anyway, that comes out. I'm really excited about that. I just had to go drive to Charlotte and do some voiceover for it. We call it ADR, where you kind of do voiceover for the film.
Wow. Okay.
That was hard. That was hard to do. So yeah. But anyway, so that's coming out soon in Nashville, and that's a print, like more of a modeling type job for a new campaign for a new product that's coming out. So I'm excited about that.
That's awesome.
I got to shoot for them 2 or 3 more times. And then I'm just auditioning pretty much every day. I just audition for anything that I can. But actually being in that film last summer makes me want to be in more. Like, I loved it. I had such a good time. I hadn't shot a film like that in almost 20 years. So to be able to do one again and then get a lead role, I'm like,
That's
okay,
awesome.
This is a God thing, because I don't really think I'm a great, film actress, but like I said, they had been working on that film for 3 years. They prayed about who they wanted to be in it, and I was kind of a last minute addition.
It just all fell together. Yeah. That's awesome.
It really did. And sometimes you just, I don't know, you never know where your next role or your next job is going to come from and where it's going to lead to, but pretty excited about it.
Good for you. Good for you.
Yes.
The Nashville thing, which is cool. Which one do you well, here's my question. Which one do you kind of favor one over the other?
What do you mean?
Like your acting part versus doing something else with it, like the modeling part or infomercial kind of stuff that you used to do a lot or whatever? Or is it all just kind of a challenge to you, period? Whatever you're taking on.
Well, I'm always grateful for every job that I get. So whether it's, a print or a film or whatever it is, I'm just happy to be on a set and I'm happy to do it. I like all of them. They're all different. Obviously, modeling is I'm going to say it's a little bit easier because you don't have to speak or memorize lines.
Yeah.
I love the spokesperson stuff just because I feel like I'm pretty good at that. So that's one of my favorite things to do. But like I said, doing this film, I was like, wow, I really want to do more of this.
Yeah.
And the good thing about film is, or at least the kind of the independent films that I work on, you don't have to be like, sorry, there's like some movement in my house right now. You don't have to be like completely memorized on some of these, on some of the scripts. So for me, it's good for me. Like TV is different. So TV, you have to be like exact. You cannot miss one word. But film, you can kind of ad lib a little bit, which is really helpful.
Why is that? Why is that? You can't get away with the ad lib like in TV scenarios.
Well, no, I'm only talking about the TV. Like when I worked on CSI Miami, and I had the sides, I had the script, so I could watch them, and I watched the actors, and it was word for word, and they have a script supervisor, and if you messed up one word, they would start over, and I'm like, oh Lord, I could not. It's too much pressure.
Yeah.
But for film is more of just, I don't know. I think it's more of just the emotion of the scene, and you just kind of let it go, and they keep rolling. You know what I mean? They just want to get that real emotion. And
I don't know if
I think TV is more scheduled, and it's more like, no, we got to get this done.
I was going to say that's a better word, schedule, but or robotic. Like we're going this. This is how it's laid out. And you know what is interesting, DH? I don't know if you'll remember this. We had another. I think it may have been an actor on. That mentioned the same kind of thing, that it was harder for the TV stuff for him versus the movie side of it, because they were such, and if I remember right, you kind of jarred my memory here a little bit on that. He said because it was so right on, they were down to the second of what they wanted you to do and say, and you had to, they went to the next thing. It was like, I guess more fast paced is what I'm trying to get after. So maybe
TV shows they're on like a real tight schedule. I'm talking about two different things, because the TV shows, they have huge budgets, but they have really tight schedules. They have these script supervisors. They got to get it done. They're only doing maybe 3 or 4 pages a day. Or in film, you could be doing a lot more.
Got you. Okay.
I don't, like I said, I'm not like, I'm more of a spokesperson and a model than I am a TV or film actress. So I have limited knowledge on that, but all I know is the films that I've been in personally, I was able to ad lib, and thank God I was, because I just cannot remember every single word. I can't do it.
Well, if I could act, which I can't, but if I could, I think that would be my downfall, is like I would get so stressed out about trying to remember every word to the character's part. That to me is one of many things I admire about actors and actresses.
And I always tell people that, I'm like, if you think it's easy, it's because that actor is very good at what they do to make it look easy.
They would have to.
And you have to what I've learned is just like, if you just study your lines, and you have it down so well, that it just helps you relax and act and do your part so much better if you have it memorized. So each night before I would do, my scene the next day, I would just go over it 5, 10, 15 times with a friend of mine, because you got to have somebody reading the lines back to you. I can't just memorize my lines. I have to know what the other person's lines are too, so I can pick up my line. So I would just go over it 10, 15 times maybe, and then go over it again, and then read it again before I get ready to shoot. And, eventually you just have to go, you know what? I'm just going to do my best.
And it is. Yeah.
All right, I missed 3 words or whatever. And usually they're like, we don't care. We got the take. We're good. Now the hard part is when you have to go back and do the voiceover and the ADR, and you're reading the script, and it's not what you said because you're right. So I'm like, oh shoot, I gotta go back and say, what I said,
Well
not
said.
what it says.
Yeah. Where would it line up to make sense? Yeah. 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 That's understandable. Yeah, that makes perfect sense. Well, hey, we appreciate you taking time with us.
Yeah,
we didn't keep you too long.
that was fun.
Yeah, we appreciate you coming on again. And
Absolutely.
Definitely.
Thanks for having me
yeah,
back.
if you'll hang in there, we'll close it all out. All right. DH.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, that's going to do it for another episode of D&D Dynamite 80s. We'd like to thank Amy Simon for joining us tonight and being gracious enough to come back on the show. Remember, you can find us on Anchor, Spotify, Breaker Radio, Radio Republic, YouTube, Twitter, Instagram, on the TikToker, on Facebook, and of course our website, all D&D Dynamite 80s, and Google Podcast D&D Dynamite 80s. So, folks, as I end off every week before I send it over to DC to play us out with our sponsors and all, remember, it doesn't cost anything extra to be kind, so always be kind to each other. DC?
Amen, brother. Amen, as usual. Hey, next week, we've got Artemis Pyle from Leonard Skinner. He'll be on. That's a special show at 5:30. We're getting squeezed in between. I think he's doing several interviews that particular night, so we're in at 5:30 instead of 7:30 next week. So Artemis Pyle, who was one of the guys that was one of their key guys when they hit it big, and one of the plane survivors from the terrible crash in '77. So Artemis Pyle is doing a lot of new music, and we're going to catch up. Matter of fact, he's got a new album that's come out that we're going to talk a little bit about, that he did with Sammy Hagar and a bunch of Leonard Skinner songs, and different rock stars did those remakes with him. So that'll be some cool stuff. The week after that, we've got Mike Skill on January the 17th. Mike will be back on. Mike's a good guy. He really is. He's been on the show before. Does a lot of likes and follows and comments to our stuff, and just a good guy. He is the founding member of the Romantics. So very, very popular group in the 80s. Had several hits out of the Detroit area is where that band originated, but I think he lives in Oregon now. So we'll catch up on Mike. I think he's got an album that he's working too of his own stuff. So we'll catch up with him. By the way, DH, on that show will be our very first co-host. One of our former guests will be the guest host.
Yes,
so
it's going to be
Kathy Rankin, who we had on, who's a singer and actor, actress, that I think she lives in the Phoenix, Arizona area, if I'm not mistaken. That's been a while back too when we had her on. But anyway, she was thrilled. She said, "Oh yeah, I want to do that. I definitely want to do that interview with Mike Skill." So
that night it'll be D&D and Kathy.
And Kathy. So there you go. So we've got several of those coming up throughout 24 that we wanted to do with some of our guests. And hey, hopefully Amy will choose one to do later on in the year that she wants to do. We'd love to have her as a co-host. So that'd be awesome. So anyway, so that's the next 2 weeks, what we got going on. Good stuff. So let me get the sponsors in here and we'll get out of here.
Let's play them through.
D&D Dynamite 80s would like to thank their sponsors, Hudson's Flags and More, PJG Marketing, and the Nesting Project of Smyrna, Tennessee. You can find all these great folks online. Another great one there, DH. Another great one in the books.
DC,
we appreciate Amy.
We appreciate
to catch up with you again. All the best to you.
And Amy, we appreciate you carrying the show. So we really appreciate that. Our listeners, we know they don't tune in to hear us, so we appreciate you.
No. So we appreciate that. Hey, and the best to you, and enjoy Nashville when you come back and all that good stuff. And we have a lot of cool stuff here. That's for sure. It's a good.
Yeah. I appreciate it. It was fun talking to you guys. It's fun talking about the old times, and I can't believe I could even remember a lot of the stuff that we talked about. I'm like,
Great. Yeah, you did
pretty
awesome.
good.
Yeah, you did
But
awesome. That was good stuff.
thanks. So yeah, it was really fun. I'm happy to come on anytime and talk about this stuff. It's great.
Well, it is
And
cool.
if anybody wants to get into acting and modeling,
Yeah.
I don't just do that in North Carolina. I do that all over. I have connections everywhere with my agents, and so I'm happy to help people out with that. So if people want to reach out to me, they can find me on
Yes.
Instagram, the Amy Simon TV, and on my website, amysimon.tv.
Yep.
And yeah, it's a great industry. And if people want to get into it, they can ask me how.
And if you want a co-star, I'm available.
There you go. Yeah.
Hey, you're in a great area, Nashville. There's a lot in Nashville and in Cincinnati.
If only, I mean, we're in a great area. If only I had, talent and, the
kind of
looks
missing
and
some
all
of the key
that. I was
components.
missing some key components, but it's all good.
Right.
You guys would book jobs.
Right. Yeah, but by the way, I'm glad she mentioned all the different social media stuff that you can follow, and we do that quite often. We'll do likes and stuff to. She does a great job of keeping up with things that are current that she's working on, and fantastic job, by the way, on all that. So people can follow and see what's going on with you. So that's awesome.
Yeah.
All right, fantastic. So once again, we appreciate Amy Simon, actress and actually an acting coach and all those good things, modeling and has her plate full all the time, I'm sure. So anyway, good to catch up with you again. Best to you and your family, and
Thank you.
We'll keep in touch.
Okay, guys, thank you. Appreciate
Thank
it.
you, Amy.
DC always kind of closes out your show with keep playing those 80s. We'll see you next week.
See you
folks,
next week.